Today, we are honored to have Brigadier General Johanna Clyborne, United States Army. Brigadier General Clyborne is a graduate of the University of St. Thomas School of Law. She is a founding partner at Breck, Clyborne, and Rybich, where she practices family law, criminal defense, and legal issues particular to the United States Armed Forces. General Clyborne is the Assistant Adjutant General Army, Joint Force Headquarters, Minnesota National Guard. She is responsible for the oversight and leadership of manning, operations, readiness, training, and equipping of units for conventional federal missions. Enlisting in 1989 as a technical drafting specialist, she earned her commission as an engineer officer in 1992. General Clyborne has served in numerous staff positions throughout her career and has led soldiers at all levels from platoon to brigade command. She holds branch qualifications as an engineer, military intelligence, and human resource officer. General Clyborne deployed as the Deputy of Military Intelligence, 34th Infantry Division, United States Division South in Basra, Iraq. Most recently, she served as the Joint Chief of Staff, Joint Force Headquarters, and commander of the 347th Regional Support Group. General Clyborne holds the distinction of being the first female to command a brigade and to obtain the rank of Brigadier General in the Minnesota National Guard. Her awards and decorations include the Bronze Star, the Meritorious Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal with Bronze Service Star, and the Outstanding Military Volunteer Service Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brigadier General Johanna Clyborne.
Thank you, Cadet Schumann. Muhammad Ali once said that service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Mr. Garberg, when he arrives, Major General retired, and Mrs. Danae O'Connell, Lieutenant Colonel retired DePulio, Mr. Mose, distinguished guests, cadets of St. Thomas Academy, parents, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to share part of the day with you today. I'm humbled to be here with you to honor a very special group of people, America's veterans. Today, across all of our country, in town halls, cities, squares, parades, places just like this, we celebrate and honor America's veterans for their devotion, patriotism, selfless service, and sacrifice on behalf of us all. And St. Thomas Academy and its many distinguished alumni have certainly embodied the very meaning of selfless service and sacrifice. Today we join hands in the name of peace and freedom to pay to those veterans a proper tribute, to say thank you. For it is their loyalty to their country and their own great courage which has made us what we are today. The world's indispensable nation, the land of the free, the home of the brave, a beacon of hope in an often troubled world. Regardless of what branch our veterans have served in, the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, or Coast Guard, this day belongs to all of them, just as it belongs to the vast generation of patriots who came before them. From the Minutemen who won our independence, to today's warriors turning back aggression all around the world. The line of Americans willing to risk their lives for this land and for the ideals and people they love is long and never-ending. Each of them is part of our military patriotic legacy. They have served with honor and with dignity. They have served in different places in different ways, but they have served nonetheless. They have not only fought our wars, they have preserved the peace, whether in a faraway land or somewhere local in a home station. They have lived uncommon lives under a common banner, a love of country, and service to their fellow man. John Fitzgerald Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but rather to live by them." Because all of us believe and understand in the fabric of the common bond of why we call ourselves American is to care for the men and women who wear the uniform. And when they take off that uniform, we care for them when they are veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that we are forever more indebted to those who are willing to die for the very freedoms that we often take for granted. For there is no greater love than he who is willing to lay down one's life for his friends. John chapter 15, verse 13. That is what truly embodies service. Service means helping others no matter what the personal cost. Taking up a cause often that no one else is willing to do, and all the while expecting nothing in return. When we talk about helping others, Melinda Gates once said, if you are successful, it is because somewhere, sometime, someone gave you a life of an idea that started you in the right direction. Remember also that you are indebted to life until you help someone less fortunate, just as you were helped. Part of today, I was asked to talk a little bit about myself and a few of the lessons I've picked up in the 26 years that I've served in this uniform on leadership. But to be honestly, if I shine here today, it is merely because I am surrounded by bright stars, and those bright stars have allowed me to bask in the reflection of their light. Much has been made to do over my promotion to Brigadier General. You see, to be honest, I cringe a little bit when I hear Jo Clyborne is the first female general officer in the Minnesota Army National Guard. The way I see it, I'm just a soldier who happens to be a female. And while I've achieved a great milestone in my personal journey, it's not the end of the story. You see, if I as a senior leader have not ensured the development and the conditions of upward opportunity for all, regardless of their background, regardless of the ethnicity or gender, then I believe as a senior leader I have failed. Which brings me to leadership. I do not claim to be an expert on leadership. I don't have all the answers. I don't have a secret recipe. The leader I was 26 years ago, when I joined at age 17, is not the leader that I am today. And with God's grace, I hope that will not be the leader that I will be in the years to come. For leadership is about continuing to grow and to develop, no matter how old or experienced you are. I come from a military family. My father was a 2-time Vietnam veteran with a Purple Heart to show for each of those tours. We never spoke about Vietnam. We never spoke about his time in the military. We never spoke about military service. He was fine when I enlisted. There wasn't much to do about that. But one day I came home and I said, Dad, I want to join the officer corps. I want to go to officer candidate school. Well, what ensued then was a 2-hour lecture on the life expectancy of a lieutenant in Vietnam. But eventually I won. He relented. And I went off to officer candidate school. But despite that lecture, I have found my own way, and as each and every one of you cadets will as well. But there are 5 things I believe that are key to being a successful leader. First, you must understand that we are given rank to serve, not to be served. Second, you are not likely the smartest person in the room. And you need to understand that from the very beginning. Third, true leaders build rock stars. Fourth, your word is your bond. And finally, but most importantly, your value, your faith, your family is immeasurable. Let me explain these 5s a little bit to you. So to start, if you remember nothing else from what I say here to you today, Remember always that we are given rank to serve, not to be served. This is true, I believe, whether you are in corporate America and in the C-suite, or whether you are a senior leader in our military today. And I believe failing to remember why you have been given the privilege of rank or the privilege to serve our great nation has led to the failings of many of our senior leaders. You see, as you move up in rank, things begin to change. I've seen it firsthand. No one really cares what you think. I mean, sure, you're part of the team, but no one stops to really ask your opinion much until one day you become a colonel. And then all of a sudden people start paying attention. They write things down when you speak. And then you become a general officer, and you can't walk into a building anymore without turning the place upside down. People want to please you. Overnight, you become smarter, funnier, better looking. It's amazing how that happens. They want to do things for you because they believe in you. They want to help you succeed. And they will want to do many things for you. And it can go to your head. If you're not careful, you can start believing that you are somehow different. But if you lose your humility and you start thinking you're all that in a bag of chips, it becomes easier to justify why the rules don't apply to you, why you are so special. You are not special. I am not special. I am but a servant of our nation. Always remember why you serve and why you've been given the responsibilities you have. Why our nation gave you its most precious resource, America's sons and daughters. Successful leaders are servient leaders. Someone once asked me who I looked up to, who was my favorite leader. And you would expect the traditional answer, right? Maybe General MacArthur, or maybe a more modern day General Schwarzkopf or General Colin Powell. But believe it or not, my special leader is Mother Teresa. Because Mother Teresa doesn't look like a 4-star general. She doesn't act like the most important person in the world. And what she said is, the Lord has called me not to be successful. The Lord has called me to be faithful. If we are faithful to our nation, to our values, to our faith, to our traditions, we will in turn be successful. Second, many times you will not be the smartest person in the room. I don't care if you have 4 stars on your shoulder or the rank of an E1. As a young officer, I learned the importance of the non-commissioned officer corps and how important they are to helping one succeed as a young officer. They were integral to my success. More often than not, it required maybe a swift kick in the butt and a push in the right direction. But the leader I am today is because I was willing to allow someone else to lead and teach me, even though I may have outranked them. There was a time when I was a young officer and I had to do counselings. And the counselings involved taking all of our junior enlisted and talking to them about the importance of their civilian and military education. And I was gung-ho. I was ready to go. I was on a mission for the boss. I was a young lieutenant with a 4-year degree, and I thought I knew everything. I had prepared my standard script on the importance of college and why everyone needed to enroll in college. And there was a young E4, and I launched in on him. But if I had spent more time listening than I had been talking that day, I would have learned a lot more, especially partway through the conversation when this young E4 had a PhD in astrophysics. Don't make assumptions that the corner person, who may be the person who is taking notes or taking out the trash or doing the things that every person should be doing, is not actually the one that has the key of wisdom you need to figure out the next problem set. If you think what you have learned is more important than anything else has to offer, you are in the wrong profession. Next, remember that we don't need lone superstars. We need rock stars that can develop other rock stars. I learned very early in my command not to necessarily value that one person who seemed to have it all together, that one person who seemed to have the right answer, that was always squared away, that had the best technique or the tactical procedure. What I learned is that the most valuable person on the team was the one who was willing to share their knowledge, that was willing to share what they had learned, that wasn't concerned about being the best so that they could look good in front of the boss, but rather developing the team as a whole. Figure out how to develop others, and you will be a rock star. Next, remember the importance of your family, your faith, and your community. I've personally been very blessed with an incredible partner, my husband Duncan, a veteran himself. Because of his support, along with that of my daughter, Kira, who is in attendance today as my aide, I would not likely be standing here in front of you. You see, there have been many nights away, many early mornings, many weekends, deployments, schools, and it's taken me away. Some of it is part of my job, and some of it is self-inflicted, because we try to do everything and be everywhere. We never say no to anything, right? But every now and then I have to pause, and I have to do a reevaluation of what I profess my values are, to whether they really match up with my actions. And I would challenge you every now and then to stop in your lives and take an azimuth check. Do what you profess to be your values match up with the actions that you take on a day-to-day basis? More often than not, I have found that sometimes they don't align, and that I need to do a little bit of redirection to make sure that they do. You see, I've seen many people in our military and in corporate America come and go. Many have given every fabric, every ounce of their life to their army or to their career. But 20, 30 years from now, cadets, from whatever vocation you choose, whether that be in the military or some other calling, that organization may give you a shiny medal, maybe a nice plaque. And you're young now and you're not thinking about these things just yet, but heed this. The question is, who will be standing next to you? Will your family be there to receive it? Lastly, remember, your word is your bond. Be careful who you attach your name to and what causes you take on. This generation of leaders coming up have to deal with challenges that I've never had to deal with, that many of our senior leaders have not faced. True, there is conflict and there is war, there is aggression and oppression, but the military structure is changing. When I joined, the women in the military did not serve in combat roles. They now do. Women are now capable of entering into fields of professions that were never open to them. It is quite likely that you will be working for a female officer. It is quite likely that you will be working next to someone or for someone or with someone that maybe has different values than you have. But at the end of the day, your character, your integrity is your stock. It is the value which you as a leader will trade. Without character and integrity, you are but an empty vessel. And lastly, to close, Sheryl Sandberg, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Facebook, once summed up leadership in a single sentence. She said, leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts long after you're gone. Your job is to serve and to help others so that they may meet the highest goals that our nation calls our service members to bring. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you for this observation. Thank you for celebrating the service of the men and women in our military. Happy Veterans Day to all of you. God bless each and every one of you.